As you, not everyone knows, I'm a survivor of child marriage, and I'm very proud to announce that there is an assembly bill that's been introduced by Assembly Member Cotty, the Democrat out of my area, into the state assembly. It has to go through the judicial process, but our Assembly Member Tasha Berner signed on as co-author, as well as Assembly Member Chris Ford from the 78th district. So I want to give a big thanks to this bill because it abolishes child marriage in the state of California and makes it the age of 18, no exceptions. And so unfortunately, the current reality is that there's no age minimum for children to get married in the state of California. They would have to go through a judicial process, but survivors are typically coerced or manipulated by their parents to say the right things because they're being trafficked. And so I just want to bring attention to this, and again, thank our Assembly Member Tasha Berner for her support of this bill. Thank you.
All right, do we have anybody else who wants to make for us?
Yes, the rec center is hosting the spring fling again this year, and it'll be located in NTC Park on this Saturday, and it's from 9 to 11, and they'll have Akon scrap, jumper, and carnival games. And there's a times by age to the Akon. I'll leave this on the table if anyone's interested. I'll be there with my 15-month-old grandbaby. And then if you've all read Rod's son's report that I sent out, there have been there's some action, it seems like, on e-bikes and requirements and safety and maybe helmets and stuff coming up. So I'm hoping that there'll be some movement on that. We can be safer with our children. Oh, and I want to thank Brad Parrott, who is no longer going to be on the board, for his service as well.
Yeah, we're going to miss Brad. All right, any other non-agenda public comment? Time? Going once? Going twice? Okay. All right, we are going to move on to government reports then. All right, and this is where we get to hear from representatives from offices from our local leader. So I'm going to start with Martha Doyle, because she's our brand new Gen Campbell. And I'm just going to say that over the years, the rest of Jen have been hit and miss. Randy was really good, so that was good. But you were really good before the project, so we're really, really happy to have you on today.
Thank you. I have some big shoes to fill, but luckily you didn't go very far, so you're still a good hand, and for some reason I can't go. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Margaret Doyle. I work with Councilmember Campbell. I used to work for Assembly Member Berner, so that's why I'm a familiar face to some of you. So we just did a little switcheroo, and now I'm with the council member's office. So I just have a couple things I want to report out tonight. The first is that the city council unanimously voted to explore the option of creating an enhanced infrastructure financing district in Midway. That's going to keep any future property tax revenue generated in the Midway area, keep it in Midway for public infrastructure improvements. No final decision has been made. This isn't like decided 100%. They're just going to explore that as an option to keep revenue focused in the community where it's generated. So that would really directly give back to the Midway community. And we also have an update on some parks. The citywide park development impact fees, we recently allocated almost $16 million to parks around the city, including Robb Field in Ocean Beach. So we got $750,000 from the citywide park DIF for Robb Field, which is really great because we'd like to see investments in our communities. And the last thing I just want to touch on really briefly, the Bermuda Stairs. The construction is done. They're scheduled to reopen a little bit later, and we're finalizing the safety inspections, just the last touches, and then we open soon, definitely before summer, so we can get people out on the beach. And with that, I will answer any questions to the best of my ability. This is my 7th work day. But I'll try.
On our agenda, we later are going to have a discussion on the agenda about the Midway Rising Tax Increment Finance District. Is that what you just talked about? That's designed to keep money taxed in Midway.
Yeah. I'm ready. But yes, That's generally what we'll do.
So the city has one currently established in the Mesa, that's the only one we have in the city of enhanced infrastructure finance, EIFE. So the idea is to keep the money within the area that the district has created, kind of like a business district or maintenance that the district is a different version of that. And they would hope reference to infrastructure. The idea was originated with all the debate, the ports redevelopment, competition was going to get a group to do the redevelopment. So it's part of the process for maybe writing, and so we're at the part where the city council has group to explore that as a finding tool with the writing team. As we're going to redevelop the Ports Arena area, it's not just do that, but also consider the other infrastructure around it in order to add the housing that we're proposing to the right.
Well, so without that enhanced thing, everything just goes in the general fund and then distributed, right? That's how it works.
Right, it's the general fund for the fund for transportation and infrastructure.
Because the diff doesn't go to the neighborhood anymore, it goes into one pot, right?
Yeah, the diffs is the part that yes, there's a pot of money for the part through the diff, and then there's also money for through the general fund for the part. So yeah, there's two different types of pots of money.
All right, do we have any other questions? Margaret? Good.
Any timelines on when we could see some details on how that property tax money will be spent? Because the devils are in the detail. It could be a positive thing for the community if we know it's going to improve our transportation and traffic, street improvements. So any idea of when we can see some details, timeline?
So I have that, I have the sales tax measure in my report, but I don't have an answer to the question yet. Very detailed with the process, but I do have, I will speak a little bit about the sales tax measure.
No, it's like
They're involved in every process, so we have to explore the option once the declaration is completed, and we probably have that information.
Yes. All right, so I'm gonna say this, Margaret, on behalf of the people in Point Loma that drive, the streets are terrible. They're potholes everywhere. And I did hear an ad by Randy's boss, Mayor Gloria, saying one of his accomplishments is fixing the street, so apparently hasn't ruined Point Loma. So I want to tell you on behalf of the community, we'd like to support you.
I'll put it in my phone. Thank you guys. Also, I don't have business cards yet, so if you need my email, it's just margaretd@sandiego.gov. But Corla and Fred have it. It's not hard. But yeah, that's what my email is. Thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, with that, we will go to Mayor Gloria. With Randy, you're in Campbell Rep, with the mayor's office, and we're really happy to have you here because Dakota didn't always come. And you're here, so that's great. We love it.
That's one thing that I try to work on is working on the weaknesses that I could have had to improve that. I was a Margaret C and I kind of saw the other side. So I will try my best to be here on a regular basis. If not, I will for sure send a report for you guys to share as well. So I am here today and I do have some items to share. I'll start first with the news that broke today in the morning. Mayor Gloria announced an appointment for next chief of police. Following an extensive national search and interview processing, included vetting by community and law enforcement leaders. Obviously, we were here as well at the library during the community sessions, workshops. The mayor announced today that he's appointed current Assistant Chief Scott Wall to be the next Chief of Police for the San Diego Police Department. Wall is currently Assistant Chief of the San Diego Police Department, overseeing special projects and legislative affairs. In this role, he's responsible for implementing federal, state, and local legislative changes throughout the organization. He served as the department spokesperson for 3 years. He's also drafted a vision to the largest postal communities. Northern is everything north of the river, so Mission Beach, Mission Bay, La Jolla. And then he's worked collaboratively with community groups to reduce gun violence and residential burglaries. It still has to be presented before the city council and approved by the city council, but this is the mayor's choice to be our next police chief. Now on to the other chief, our fire chief. He announced his retirement this week, so he plans to retire in August of 2024 after 34 years of service. The city has launched a nationwide search for a new chief of the San Diego Fire Rescue Department, including a public survey and community forums to gather feedback, similar to that of the police chief recruitment process. However, rather than going to every district, there's only going to be 2 public workshops for the community to engage. The first one is April 3rd, 5:30 p.m. at Martin Luther King Jr. Rec Center in Skyline Hills, District 4. And then Thursday, April 4th at 5:30 p.m. at the Trinity Mesa Recreation Center in District 6. Again, there's also the online survey for feedback. So 2 news on our fire chief and police chief. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the sales tax proposal that was presented by Councilmember Campillo and the mayor yesterday at the Rules Committee, sorry. So this proposal for ballot measures to increase San Diego's sales tax by 1%, 7.75% to 8.75%. Currently, the city of San Diego has a $9.2 billion worth of infrastructure needs, which far exceeds our city resources. Neighboring cities like the cities of La Mesa, Imperial Beach, Del Mar, El Cajon, Oceanside, and National City already have the 8.75% sales tax. And some of them, for some can argue that they have much better infrastructure and streets, and neighborhood services than we do. These funds will go to the general fund, which is where we fund safety, fire, police, lifeguards, infrastructure, streets, streetlights, stormwater, etc., parks, libraries. This measure was approved by the 5 members of the committee, which means that this item has officially begun the legislative process with the intent to get this approved by the full council and on the ballot by the November election. So those are the 3 things I wanted to touch on. The streets, I know it's not good after the OCI score or PCI score, I forget which acronym they use now. District 2, the director of transportation on the record saying that District 2 numbers are the worst numbers. So we're fully aware of it. The District 2 office is fully aware of it. And so, yes, roads are important. And then the rest of District 2. Yeah, Claremont tells me every day. Yes.
Well, we agree with that.
So I'm here for questions.
Yeah, any questions for Randy or the mayor's office?
I have a question.
Yes.
I know I keep asking you about the streetlights on Mimosa. And they're still out, and there was a big accident the other day, a guy on a skateboard, a younger man. And right underneath where that light is, he got hit by a car. So, and I think he flew like 85 feet. So is there any news on getting those lights fixed?
I don't have an update on those lights.
I just think it's really important. It's near school.
Yes.
I think if those lights were on, I think that.
Okay.
Thank you. Your email still the same?
No, my email changed. It's my first and last name at San Diego Dockets. That was a change.
So you didn't get my email?
No,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's happened with all the groups, so I've tried practically as best I can to connect with all the groups, but I also did get those saved, so I had to go find all the emails myself for all my contacts. But it's okay. First and last name at San Diego Dockets.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell me how much the public 1% sales tax, how much revenue a year that's supposed to bring in?
I do have a presentation printed out with breakdown. Give me a second here. I just a lot of numbers. We're all getting into the budget movement. A lot of numbers, but if somebody else wants to ask a question, yes, Tracy.
Yeah, so I heard about this 1% sales tax increase, and I can tell you that traditionally San Diegans don't vote for tax increases, like ever, unless it's a fire tax increase, which is really not fun. But my question is you guys are gonna sell that 1% increase based on our roads need repaired, but you're gonna put that money in the general fund. So how are we gonna guarantee that that 1% sales increase is actually gonna go towards roads? Is something in the legislation or the ordinance or whatever you guys are gonna write, a ballot measure, are they gonna like guarantee that money that we're paying is gonna go into our roads?
So that's feedback that I've received from all the community groups that I've been presented with the last couple of days. Two things. One, I wanted to point out that what was the action that was approved in the rules committee is approval for the city attorney, the independent budget analyst, mayor's office to work together to create the actual proposal of the ballot measure to bring it back to the rules committee to then have it go to the council. So some of these details are still being fleshed out in terms of what is approved by the city attorney in legality terms, what's recommended by our independent budget analyst when it comes to the numbers, the budget itself. And so I don't have questions to those specifics, but it is feedback that I've collected and I'm drawing down the rest of my committees as we're going around our community groups and collecting the feedback around constituents to put those definitions or clear allotting the money to certain topics, right? So that the constituents know that the money is going to X topic or the other topic, it's streets or the libraries or parks. So noted on the feedback and then the action item was the transcript. In terms of the first question, do I have here in the presentation that for fiscal year 2024 sales tax revenue is $374 million. With the 1% increase, we would double the city sales tax revenue. We would double that $374 million number.
We're gonna get the same problem.
Do you have any other questions for Randy?
So for fiscal year 2024, sales tax revenue is $374 million. 1% increase would double sales tax revenue.
That really doesn't make sense in my mind, but
You said 7.75 equals 374 million?
That's what was reading from the presentation. I would think.
That's fine.
So I'm not in this conversation, but I think that. I can also share that I did this with the Claremont Community Planning Group. I can send presentation, the information that was
Involved to me, send it to me and then I can forward it to the board and everybody.
okay. Yeah.
All right, any other questions for Randy? I did talk to Coda about putting together.
Okay.
Yes, Coda and I talked about putting this and work together about there, trying to make sure that that works better for the community. You know what the staff is there.
So two things. Coda is still going to be the lead for that project, so we'll carry it all the way through. So if there's any general questions like this or anything else when it comes to that topic, reach out to him. You can also reach out to me. Obviously, I'll be in the community, so I'll be engaging with constituents more than he will. But I don't have an update on that. The only thing I know is that other leaders like Andrea from Ocean Beach and Kathy from Midway have also expressed their interest. So that I don't have an update. That would be from him.
Okay. Yeah, and Coda told the three of us that they'd love to have this. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course.
All right, Reed, you're up.
Right. Good evening, folks. My name is Cole Reed. I'm with the Office of State Senator Tony Atkins. I don't have too much to share with y'all. This is Senator Atkins' last year in office. He's termed out after serving as leader of the Assembly and then leader of the State Senate. So I just felt like it would be a good time just to share some programs that she created and really proud of. The first is the California Earned Income Tax Credit. Taxes are on a lot of minds right now. And what the California Earned Income Tax Credit does is it provides a direct tax relief to working Californians who earn slightly less than $40,000 a year. And this benefit ranges anywhere from $285 to the low end to upwards to $3,500 at the high end. And this is one of her proudest accomplishments. She loves talking about this because it provides direct assistance to the working Californians who need this the most. The second program that I will share is the California Dream for All program. This funding for this program was secured back in the 2022 state budget. And this is a down payment assistance program for first time home buyers. It first launched last year and it had received $300 million worth of funds. Those funds exhausted in the first 11 days of high demand for this program. This year, the program requirements would be stricter. to ensure that at least the second round of funding will last a bit longer, to say the least. And if anyone has any questions about eligibility or would like to know more about this program, or thinks that anyone would benefit from it, don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'll be happy to share more information on that. It will launch in April. It's called the California Dream for All program. Lastly, I always like to extend any assistance that people have with state agencies. So for example, if you are experiencing a roadblock with BNB, Franchise Tax Board, or any of the hundreds of state licensing agencies, I'm always happy to help or connect you to the right place. With that, I'll conclude my report and I'm happy to open things up for questions and comments.
Questions for Cole?
What's gonna be for next meeting? What, do you have any operations to further her political vision?
Yes, I can't talk about that though, because I'm, yeah, yes.
Okay, appreciate that.
How about you?
Yeah. Oh, what I'm gonna do next? Oh, I have no idea. I told her that all the time. I think I'll be okay, but it's not that much.
All right, well, Cole, we appreciate you being here, so thank you. We're all set. All right, we are now going to turn our red. Turn it over for the project tonight, so I think 7:30.
Hey, Fred. Fred.
Oh.
Can I just make a planning board announcement?
Sure.
Okay, real quick. So Tracy DeZenza, Ocean Beach Planning Board. Last month, we held our elections. If you know anybody who voted, thank you very much. We looked at two different things. One of the items was the short-term rental ordinance that will come back up for review eventually at the city council. So we have a small work group that's been working on changes that we would like to see for that ordinance. But we presented it to the Ocean Beach Planning Board last month and they decided to support it, but they are also going to look at the ordinance next month and add their own addendums to our letter. The second thing that we looked at was the Target down on Newport has a application for a liquor license. And the planning board, we're gonna send a letter asking the state not to approve that. The reason being is when Target was installed or when they moved in, they promised the community that they would supply alcohol because Ocean Beach is already 300% over its alcohol allotment of licenses. And that was one of the things that got the community really excited about Target moving in and not selling alcohol. And here we are 5 years later, and now they're applying for a full liquor license, not just beer and wine, full alcohol and tasting, which is kind of beyond the pale. So, so again, the Ocean Beach Planning Board is requesting that the application be denied, but other than that, that is it. Just a little bit of news.
Any questions, Tracy, out of me?
We will be reviewing the letter later on in the agenda.
We're working on some tech issues. We may or may not be ready to present. We can't get it to work on the thing. But I'm hoping.
Thank you, Chris. Sorry, didn't get to it. Joe, you're up.
We have two projects tonight to review. The first is 730 Hannaford Drive. It's project number PRJ 11099992. It's a process 3 addition and remodel on the house. There's the technical information is in the description, but I don't think I need to read word for word. But basically, it is a very modest 1-story house from the street appearance. And it happens to be in the very end of Point Loma. There are steps down a very steep hill. The proposed addition does not block anyone's views. And it is not really visible from any other public streets or transportation. It's one of those lots that's sort of just trapped at the very back, you know, with other houses that are quite a bit lower and houses across the street are quite a bit higher. So there are no issues with views and so forth. The architect for the project is Deborah Shawaga, and she is here, and she'd like to say a couple words about it.
Yeah, well, I think you've covered most of it. I think we basically are taking a.
Walking by.
Yeah.
Oh, we won't.
Okay. Oh, pass them along. There's three.
We were totally before 6:30, 6:32.
Oh. Andy, try traffic. Bad.
That always.
So the existing house is, pretty much early ranch style, Silvery ranch style in the neighborhood. If you look at the massing of it and the massing of what we're proposing, we really aren't changing it that much. We're kind of keeping it in massing style with the actual community, just sort of updating the, you know, the overall architectural appearance of bringing it up, you know, today's standards, I guess. And that's really about it from, you know, the point of view of the street. We're doing a little bit more work on the back that's not, you know, as visible. And it's also brought in where we're pulling out where it's brought in from property lines, so it's not right up against them. And does anyone have any questions?
You're not going up, you're going back.
Yeah, we're not even going back that far because we don't have a lot of room. So we are going back a little bit because right now there's an existing enclosed patio that's there. You can see it here. So this existing enclosed patio is there. So my addition is not going up past that on that floor. There is space underneath here, so I'm digging down a little and coming out a little, and then we're putting decks around.
Everything going on the back side of the house.
Everything pretty much is going on the backside. The only thing I really did here was kind of add a covered entry and this roof line here is exactly the roof line that's the original house. This one changes slightly, but you know, you look at that, I didn't like, you know, bulk it up or change the massing. If you went by it, you would notice that it's, you know, much different except for upgrade.
And I want a couple more comments. We had a lengthy discussion about some of the technical aspects of the project because it is going to be difficult to build. It's got deep caissons because of the formational material that it sits upon. So they're going to have to drill somehow in the backyard, and that's not going to be easy because of very limited access. And the project was approved 5-0 unanimous.
Any other, Sam?
Yeah. Did you hear that? How are you going to control erosion on the backside?
Well, we'll really, we'll have we are putting in a retaining wall further down to create some flat areas. So I think that will help some of that, that erosion. And also there will be obviously replanting on the hillside, to maintain.
And further, they didn't change the footprint very much.
Right. And we're not really changing the slope of the hill other than in one section where we're gonna put a retaining wall so they have a little bit of useful area on the hill, but for the rest of it, we're not, you know, cutting and filling and doing a bunch of that work. There's no grading permit required for this project, so we're trying to keep it as minimal as possible.
And then the last comment is that it was purchased for the owner, by the owners, and it is for their use.
Yes.
It's not a for.
No. Not with 30-foot caissons. No.
All right, any other questions? And looking. All right, we have a motion from Sam to approve. We got a second from Mindy. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All right, you passed 7-0, unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And,
Good job.
I like to say, we would like it when people do take the project like this. So, you know, it's always refreshing and new, so good job and thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Go to on the project.
You're making me really sad. The second project, and our last project, my last project, is at 4385 Saratoga. It's project number PRJ 1098975. This is basically a map action project. The site is currently, well, I can read a little bit of it. Oh, shoot. I apologize, my gosh.
Start over.
That was a canceled project.
Yeah.
My apologies. No. I'm reading off my agenda, and the applicant emailed me the day of the meeting that he's in Europe. Sorry. Okay. 42572 to 4576 Niagara. I am so sorry. PRJ 1108766 CDP to convert 2 single-family residential duplex dwelling units into 2 residential condominium units at the same addresses. It is basically a map act. There's a front house and a back house. They are existing. There is no proposed construction, and they're simply mapping them into 2 parcels so that the owner would have the ability to sell presumably one of the parcels. Our applicant is from Christensen Engineering, and his name is Tony, and he is right there. Tony, you want to say a couple words, please?
Not particularly. You've done a good job explaining what the project is, and it really is just a mapping project. There's no development proposed whatsoever.
Could I ask a question? The front house, the bigger one of the 2 of that lot is a vacation home that is run by the people who live in the house on the back. Does that change under the current vacation rental rules, does that change how they deal with the vacation rental?
I don't think it will, because it's, again, it's just a means to be able to sell each unit separately. That's
Right,
what-
but I think that if someone is on the same property and they run a vacation rental in the other building on the same property, I think it comes in a different tier of vacation rentals, but I don't know the details of that.
So currently it has a tier 2 license.
I don't know what's in the license to do, I haven't been able to.
According to the
Only
city's website,
property.
according to the city's website. Which means we have to be on site. Dividing the property. Well, it's still under the same ownership. It's not dividing it, it's just allowing them to sell the units. Like they would with an apartment complex, because it's a condominium, becomes a condominium project. Doesn't mean that they are forced to sell the units. They would still be in both properties. But they don't live in the property. I don't know.
That's exactly what it is.
Of course, this project is solely for now.
Yeah, we can't really hear what you guys are talking about, so if you guys raise your hand, if you have a question, we can do it, if you guys can not necessarily.
The question is whether their existing vacation rental license is valid.
Okay, well, it's a map waiver, not a vacation. We don't have authority over the vacation rental application. Yeah. But you could talk to, Barbara, right? She knows about vacation rental, and Randy, they know about the ordinance, but we're just voting on that.
Strictly.
Right.
And again, the benefit of a map waiver would be that it allows the financial transaction of one or the other of the properties.
All right. Are there any other questions? We have a motion regarding this project. And this past 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, thank you. It did pass 5.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion? All right, Corley made a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Angela, second. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right, so let's take 7. All right, your map waiver is passed 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Good. All right, we are gonna move on to our informational items then. So let's start, with CPC. Carla, do you have any updates?
I actually do. I sent out my notes, right after the meeting last month, but Andrea emailed me and did a follow-up on the land development code action items. And after meeting, they determined that it didn't pass because there were 7 abstentions and 5 no's. But there were, I didn't write that down, but it actually did pass. She reviewed the bylaws and everything, and the abstentions don't count in the vote. So that motion to approve the committee's recommendations on the land development code did pass and was forwarded on to the city council.
Now, didn't I thought, an email from Andrew saying that the patron didn't spot every file that did.
I thought you said 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll review that, but I'm pretty sure she said it did, yeah. And then, there was an article in the OP Rec today, about, well, it was an interesting article, but it was about the approval of non-elected, community planning group boards. And, Uptown and, La Jolla have competing groups. We don't have a competing group, but they, these 2 other planning groups have competing groups. And the Uptown, group is very upset. There's been a lot of discussion about that, but their competing group is called Vibrant Uptown. And it looks to be that the city council is going to approve that. We don't know yet, it hasn't happened yet, but my comments in my email that I sent is that the whole process is unacceptable about recognizing a new group and then immediately allowing them to make decisions without a public election. That's not democracy. And also allowing them to hold their own elections when each member is up for election is just wrong as well. The city admits they made a mistake in not anticipating this kind of issue. And it was suggested that the current democratically elected board stay in power until the newly recognized board can hold an election within 60 to 90 days. That seemed to have satisfied most CPC members. Marlon took notes and we'll see what happens. So that's that, and I'll check if I have that email.
And what, you know anything about the agreement?
Not a word. There's not been any chatter that I've seen, but no, I don't. They're all posted in the red, so.
Grayson?
I'm not sure if Brandy has information about this, but I watched the meeting today, the land use council meeting. And the whole way group was, we knew Uptown group was the 90-day agenda is approved, so these people have to run an election within 90 days, or at least this is what the committee voted on. And the old planning group will stay in place and function until the new planning group.
So they will hold their own elections. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so that was the committee results.
Okay, that's that they satisfied this.
And the people on the election committee cannot be up for election.
Exactly, yeah.
That's how, I think that's how everybody file up.
So I guess
Can't
it's
be-
gonna go to the city council.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you view today, talk about our planning board,
We don't have.
but today,
I thought they were gonna talk about, you know.
Yeah, they were just forwarding for action to the whole council. So we're on the good dog list.
so we're on a good list, what does that mean? We've forwarded it here.
We're just forwarding to the council for action for approval. They're not opposed. It was the slate of all the others got passed along.
And we're just in that.
It's almost 1,000 pages, I think, of documents, but that whole list with all the other CPGs, less La Jolla and Uptown, got forwarded for action, just as their approved blanket approval go. So just see what whole council votes on.
So it sounds like we're in pretty good shape.
We are, and they promised, they were talking about it, and everybody said, well, what's to prevent this from coming up all the time, and somebody would come back, and Marla was insistent that was gonna be it. That this wasn't gonna keep happening, we were gonna have to recertify it, and do all this hullabaloo frequently, so, or again, so we're hoping that it's done.
So you don't think it's gonna happen?
No, he said no.
Good, yeah. Seems. Okay, well, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. That was very helpful. Don, you want to give any kind of update on the Canopy Park?
Yes, on the park, the ground preparation basically, completed. The water has been leveled, the irrigation pipes and so forth were quite buried. It is even tested, and the soil needs to be tested. So that's coming along. City has always been all the time. Fishing day still up penciled in for Labor Day. The other thing that they're working on is the Voltaire State Bridge, beautify the bridge, create a suspension bridge there. And the success of that depends a little bit on Joe's availability. First of all, to finish the application for building permits. And then secondly, to help see the design.
And we met last week and discussed 4 things, and we have, by that working on the bids, so.
Super. So one way or another, I'll be helping the public member in the board. The money for that bridge project has been raised by private donation. The city was urging persons to form a path. And the person said, no, you got the boats with tax. We got the money, why bother and put the burden on the
Any questions at all? I drive by that Chemistry Park all the time. And I look at it every time, so it does seem like it's moving along. It's making progress. Good. All right, and the Formosa flu, one of our little favorite areas, Point Loma, and there's apparently a restoration project. So we want to see that protected. So the city's here to tell us about that. So I'll turn it over to you.
Right, thank you everyone for having us today to present the Slough Alley Slope Restoration Project. My name is Anthony Salvani. I'm in the City of San Diego, Stormwater Department, project manager. Joined here by Alicia Pena, who is our city planner. Brayden Crane working in PowerPoint, he's a project engineer. Chris Eckert in the audience, he's the deputy city engineer, and we're also by our consultants as support as well. Going over the agenda. We'll first talk about project location, existing conditions, what were project goals, scope of work. We shall get to the environmental aspects. Lastly, we'll talk about schedule and budget and leave room at the end for any questions. So as you all know, our project is located at the southern end of the Formosa Slough, just west of the existing treatment ponds. Specifically, our project improvements begin in the alley between Montalvo Street and Matone Street, and end right near treatment pond number 1. Getting into the existing conditions, as you can see, within the alley, there is no existing storm drain infrastructure. As a result, stormwater runoff entering the alley flows down onto the slope and causes substantial erosion. From the pictures, you can see that there's been some temporary measures put in place, such as sandbags and the plastic liner along the slope. These these measures have proven to be nuisance, having to be maintained frequently, and also pose a safety issue. And our project really aims to solve these issues and implement something that is more effective, safe, and sustainable. So project goals, stabilizing the eroding slope, reduce sediment trash into the Richard Slough, and overall improving and safeguarding water quality and habitat. Getting into the scope of work, on the right side of the screen is the end of the alley. We'll be implementing a storm drain inlet that will be sized to receive flows from the 100-year storm. Our alignment is approximately 300 linear feet of 18-inch and 24-inch reinforcement pipe with associated cleanouts at the angle points to facilitate maintenance. Going downstream, we'll be connecting to an existing inlet. We'll be replacing it with a standardized type F inlet. And right after that, we'll have a new outlet. As mentioned previously, one of the main scopes of work is slope stabilization. And lastly, native vegetation planting will also be implemented as part of the scope. We wanted to take this time to highlight some additional benefits from these previously mentioned scope items. The curved inlet will be inserting a filter insert. This is really the first line of defense for improving water quality and habitat. The filter insert will be capturing any unwanted trash and debris sediment, stopping it from entering the storm drain and ultimately stopping it from ending up in the slough. The second thing we'd like to highlight is our choice in alignment. Our alignment traverses a slope and conveys the captured runoff to an existing treatment pond. This is what we thought would be the best choice because it has an additional layer of treatment prior to this runoff entering the slough. And lastly, to protect the existing trail, our grading on the slope, we're implementing a retaining wall at the bottom in order to protect the existing trail in place.
Right, we're really excited to bring this project to your community. This is a really great opportunity to improve water quality and habitat at Mimosa Slough, both of which are things in line with your guys' community plan. This is a very straightforward project, but it is in an environmentally sensitive area. We touch on wetlands, the coastal zone, critical habitat, and steep slopes. These are things that we're taking into consideration as we plan for and design this project. We're currently working on a plan to address any impacts to natural resources. There will be some short-term impacts associated with the project construction, including an increase in noise, emissions, and traffic in our project area. We will also need to close portions of the trail during construction where the trail overlaps. While we're doing construction, we will be doing monitoring during ground disturbance to ensure that we can protect cultural resources. And we're still very much in the planning and development process, but we'll be out the comments later on this year. This is a process for starting summer.
Alicia, getting into the schedule and funding. Funding source, 51% of our project is funded by the general fund. The other 49% is funded by the WIFIA fund. This is a federal loan program that our department has been able to apply to. It's been paramount in funding this project and many other stormwater department projects. Getting into the actual numbers of our project, estimated 2.2 million for construction and the total project cost of 3.3 million. Project schedule, we're stage 2 complete design in January of 2025. Start construction in August of 2025 and finish construction late 2026. That concludes our presentation. Thank you again for this opportunity to present. I really believe the importance of this project for our community and the environment. Looking forward to working with you all for the success of this project. And I'd like to open it up for questions.
Yeah, I just want to say, obviously it is a sensitive wetland that we're working on and big for equipment.
I live nearby, and my only feedback is your construction vehicles are parking in red and causing, they're impacting the already existing traffic issues, especially during the construction drop off. So that's the only feedback that I have. I saw that circular basin, that you guys have, is that for the pond that you're gonna install? There's like the large circular, like, not basin, it's like a,
The treated ponds.
yeah,
So those are already existing.
they're already, are you
Yeah.
replaced, and then. Alright, what is the water table there? Do you know what the water table is?
I do not know that offhand. I don't know if anyone from the consultant team could help answer that one. If, go ahead, Shafter.
Yeah, that, so just to be clear, there is no active construction out there associated with this project.
Oh, not at this time,
No.
okay, that's,
So this project
this is
still
going forward,
like
that's not what is there right
in
now.
design phase. Yeah.
Okay, good to know, alright, so that's.
So whatever's out there is
Alright,
unrelated.
so wrong guy. Good to know.
What's the timing on when you think the project?
So the slide prior to this has, the schedule on it.
August.
Okay. All right.
The one in the spotlight, you can't see.
The trails on the back, I walk back there, and walk along West Loma, you will restore access to those trails after you do the work.
We got a question back there.
Well, I'd like to comment.
Yeah.
And this project is currently worth, it's supposed to scale twice and put a lot of sediments and tracks into the slough. One of the failures, it undercut the alley that was above it, so the city had to go back and replace. I don't remember, about 40 or 50 feet of the alley, and they actually had to repair damage to the foundation of the building that was there. And so it's really important to help. And then they showed the slope with the visqueen or the plastic on it, but that plastic disappears during rainstorms because the homeless people need it to cover their stuff. So that whenever it's going to rain, the slope becomes a lot more vulnerable. So getting this project done as soon as possible would be really good. And we do have some concerns. We hope that the board will also work for them. The turning structure that they talk about, the access, where they'll get access to the pipe. We want that. This is the site that is going, the 300 feet is going to go across President most of the property, but it's mitigation property, so we don't want it, a lot of development on it. So that access place can be as unobtrusive as possible. That would be really helpful. And then she showed the trail at the bottom of the slope. And we want the retaining wall, not big obnoxious and be sensitive to making the trail still remain to be a nice place to go. And also, you mentioned the trash filter in it. We like to make sure that the trash filter is really effective because that alley has a bunch of dumpsters. Something falls down. And we'd like to have that all captured there instead of going into the treatment plant. And you'd ask the question, the treatment plants are actually built in 2000.
And then is the pump gonna replace the existing one on site or is it an addition?
No, they're just gonna put a new pipe into the part of the treatment ponds at the bottom of Calvo Street.
Okay.
So just be one more pipe into the pond, and it's a perfect place for it. It's the very top of the pond, where we want all the worst stuff to go. So, and getting the trash filter in will make another really significant benefit. So we really want the project to move ahead, but and it's been really good about talking to us. We want to make sure we continue that because we're going from 60% to 100%. And we want to make sure that it's done and doesn't detract from this.
Thanks for picking it out, Jim.
Oh, and you asked about water table. The water
Yeah.
table at the site is sea level.
Right. Thank you.
All right, so you're taking care of that.
Yeah, we've been in communication. The friends have been great help and possibly working together.
Yeah, they're the community people that know the most about it.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to ask for that very steep area. It's all right on the drawing, you have 2 terraces. And 2 terraces piece.
Sorry, was that question again?
Well, it's a very steep area, way up, you had some terraces, some too. And I wondered if that's going to be sufficient.
2 terraces.
I think you may want to put 2 rather.
Are you speaking to the two cleanouts?
Okay,
There, isn't that comparisons and everything down the hill?
Oh, sorry, that's just an example of the type of retaining wall that we'll be putting in. Yeah. And,
There's one.
yeah, we'll have one retaining wall, it'll be less than 4 feet tall, and that will be substantial.
Do you have a copy of this presentation?
We'll send it to Fred.
Would you put it in the-
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I was just wondering whether you know or whether folks know, because it is a sensitive wetland. I mean, and making it better, or taking it before it, but what do you think the current condition is? How is it current? Is it in good shape now, or is it really bad shape? I mean, where do we stand on it today?
It depends on like how you're measuring the success of the wetlands. I certainly think there are some areas where, well, I will say with the construction, we're still working on what that mitigation plan looks like. As you know, we'll be disrupting the site and having to replace vegetation in the area. In terms of like the wetland and the health of it. And the indicators that we've received so far from our bio reports seem to indicate that it's a healthy, thriving area. We do know that there are some kind of maintenance, those ongoing operations and challenges with kind of vegetation in and around treatment ponds. So I think that's one of those things that we're also kind of looking at with this project. Does that kind of answer your question or?
Yeah, I just want to, like, when I drive down with Cornwall Boulevard with my wife and I look there, I want to be able to tell her, you know. I was sitting there and they told me that the wetlands are in pretty good shape, but we're gonna make them better.
Yeah, and really our work is really on kind of the outside of the slough area. So it's, again, we're taking water that is currently going into the slough untreated, or not untreated, but it's going directly off of the alley directly into the slough. So now we're going to be capturing that, putting it into the treatment ponds. Then the water that goes to the slough will be cleaner and won't have the sediment. So that will have, you know, we're kind of putting all that, the icky stuff in the treatment ponds so that the slough can really thrive.
Do you have any comments on what you think the current state of the health of it?
Yeah, there is a TMDL, in the regional board, the total maximum daily load for eutrophication. So some, in the past, we've been having problems with algae. The city has been more rigorous about sort of policing the area, as far as dry weather runoff. And so it seems like the eutrophication problem is better. We're not having, unfortunate growth of algae. And the city has a contractor that's monitoring pretty much constantly. You can see people down there with orange vests a lot. And so it's being watched carefully. And you know, the eutrophication problem may have gone away, you know, based on the increasing monitor of the area, but we'll have to see about that. And the treatment ponds, again, they do get a lot of junk in them. And since they've been built, we've had them renovated once, you know, taken all the trash and sediments out. And then we're just in the process of negotiating with the contractor to have them renovated again. And so the pond will, you know, will never look great. At least pond one will never look great because it's getting runoff from about 300 acres of one moment. And so it's never going to be a wonderful thing. But the plants growing like crazy. The willows all those nutrients in the watershed. And so as far as bird wildlife, it's great. Animals are living down in the soil. That pond one is not a great place for them. But that's what it takes to keep the rest of the fluid cleaner. It all gets trapped there. Every 10 years, we can have that stuff bulldozed down and the rest of the fluid benefits.
That's perfect. Thank you. A lot of water out there, though. Election for 12, so it's 7 o'clock. Okay. Now that's all right. Any other questions? We really appreciate it. It's a good project, and anything else you guys need us to get it up? Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
Everybody else will read that stuff.
Yeah. You want, how do you make it?
5 minutes.
All right, well. Everybody can correct, our vote counter has the next 3 items, so really we have to do the board action item. So I don't know, do we want to do the board action item regarding approval of the city changes to the bylaw? Are you ready? Are you ready for that?
Yeah, very good.
All right, how many people do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have a forum that are in the room, so. I don't think we need anybody else here. You want to know?
So quickly, we've already heard that the approvals have been forwarded to the council as of this afternoon's meeting of the committee. In between the time we voted back in November, we submitted in December for us. City came back with 3 changes. The first change was to insert the paragraph that appears in the introduction. So there was this whole introduction, which is largely a cut and paste straight out of the city's addenda to the 600-24 council policies that was guiding, the council CPG reapproval. Then there was 2 other changes. None of the text of that was substantive. It covered lots of other things. And then the other 2 was ensuring that we had explicit language about when we took the ECAL, so and then also the timing of annual reports, which was implied but not specified. And so that's now codified by adding May in there, and the ECAL is explicit.
Mandy, you gotta stay here so we have enough for a vote.
What?
We need a quorum.
Is it okay if I say?
No, you gotta stay. We need 7 people to vote on it.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. When Tracy started talking, that's an information line.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry. Just took away.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Sorry.
So because there were changes to the document that was approved in November, it's according to the bylaws that we already passed, we now have to repass the bylaws that we need to pass.
Okay, I mean, I looked at all those changes and, a lot of that stuff was just, like the introductory paragraph was city boilerplate, so.
Yes.
And the other ones were sort of cleanup changes to our bylaws, are consistent with everybody else, so. Looked good to me, but, any questions or discussion?
I'd like to thank Eric for all his hard work on this, continuing hard work. You think we'd be done, but he's had to continue and continue. So thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, you did a fabulous job. You are probably speaking.
Yeah, I also want to add, Mandy's husband really instrumental. I'm getting this thing put together, so don't thank you.
I will.
for all this.
Got camera, we appreciate it, yeah.
He's the one beneath my wings, so.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve the new bylaws and operating procedures with the revisions from the city? Motion by Sam, that's approved, second by Javier. Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Robert Jackson.
Yeah, so we got 7-0. All right, that passes 7-0 there. Approved. Very good, all right. You can go. You can go. All right, Tracy, you're up.
So I'm gonna have 7%.
Okay.
But I will run the slides.
And just so that everybody knows, yeah, obviously short-term vacation rentals are a big issue. And I'm glad that Kevin and Tracy are working on that. They make a presentation. They have a draft letter. I think the one you want to really target is Javier here, because he's the head of long-term planning for our group. And so if we were going to issue a similar letter to this, it would go to long-term planning, and they would discuss whether and not.
And I emailed the letter to the board. I hope everyone received it.
Yeah, we all got it too. So, but before this is an information thing. So, but if we think it's a good idea, I think better. You guys take a look at it. So, and you want me to turn on the mic?
This is probably okay. Scott. Yeah, if you want to get that. I'm gonna go ahead and start though. My name is Kevin Hastings and I serve on the Ocean Beach Planning Board. For the past 5 years or so, and Tracy Denzo helped me with this presentation. I want to be clear, this is a citizens initiative to sort of get in front of upcoming potential changes with the STRO ordinance. So this went into effect May of last year. It did a lot of good things. It gave us a licensing framework. It let us kind of see the picture of what's out there. You know, who owns this? Who's running all year? Who's just doing home shares? So it's given a great way to organize all that. But there's certain things in the ordinance that are being exploited. And this is, it's not only affecting, you know, the residents and neighbors around these, but it's also impacting other people's abilities to obtain a license, for example. And so we're going to cover some of those things in here. And so the annual review was written into the ordinance. And it's sort of a city review of bringing that back to city council. And that's going to come up within the next couple of months, that annual time frame. And this came into effect May of last year. So next slide. So the first one, and you may have heard about Michael Mills. He's pretty infamous in Ocean Beach for converting entire apartments over into vacation rentals. I think he was issued 115 vacation rental licenses initially, and it was 100% legal under the ordinance as written. There is some examples of this happening in the peninsula. Here's one here on Udall Street. I'm not sure how many units are in this building, but 4 of them so far have been converted to full-time vacation rental units. That's all under the same ownership. And so the way they do that is the host that is listed on the license can be pretty much anyone that has a right to occupy document with their name. They don't have to own the unit. They don't have to live nearby. They don't even have to live in the country. And so, you know, someone like Michael Mills gets 115 names that agree to, you know, put their name on a form, and they can become a host. And so that's what's happening with some of these properties. And so this is sort of proliferating, especially in some of these more affordable type of units. You know, these smaller units in apartment buildings typically a lot more affordable than sprawling single-family residence, right? So it's sort of disproportionately impacting some of the cheaper units. And another issue with this is if they lose license, you know, they can just put another name on to get a new license, assuming there's another license. Or if they sell the property, they can keep that host on the paperwork. It would still be allowed. We have this in writing from the city. This is all permissible under the current language agreements. Next slide. And so one of the ideas or a couple ideas to help prevent that is restrict these full-time licenses, that's the tier 3s and tier 4 from Ocean Beach, to a natural person, who's already in the license, already in the ordinance, but also require them to have some ownership interest in that property. And that would prevent them from transferring a license on them. It would hold them accountable if there's if it's a problem property. You couldn't simply, you know, put the host under a different name, obtain that. Now they could potentially have a different owner for each unit in the building. So we said, well, how do we handle it? Like this Nimitz Crossing, for example. There are 12 tier 3 licenses now in that building. Some of those were just obtained a couple of days ago. And the entire building could be converted into vacation rentals in this ordinance. So one of the ideas was to restrict the total number of units in the building, for example, to 25%, or and maybe allow a minimum of 2 units. So if you have a duplex, you can still have 2 units there. But it's not a real big ask. You know, once you get into some of the larger buildings, 10+ units, you know, you can go to 3, go to 4, to 25. And then if you lose license, you don't get it back on that parcel for a year. That's one parcel. It's an ownership. It's holding them accountable for those issues. Next slide. So the other issue, obviously, these are concentrating in the coastal neighborhoods. Mission Beach had a 30% cap. Other neighborhoods don't have any yet. There is a citywide cap of 1% on the tier 3 year-round vacation rentals. And you can see, Peninsula is getting up there. There are 222 right now, that's as of today. When I started working on this a month ago, that number was 15 units less, so it's increasing. And there is another about 900 of these licenses available outside of Mission Beach. Peninsula's 7th place on this list. Some of those are going to go into Peninsula. So the planning commission in 2020 recommended capping these on, based on the boundary, similar to how Mission Beach was done. Obviously, we wouldn't want 30%. That doesn't really limit anything, right? So some of the other groups that have discussed this, Pacific Beach Town Council, OB Planning Board has seen this. There isn't really quite a consensus yet on what that percentage cap should be. PB is asking for 1%, I believe. And so maybe Peninsula has an idea. Now that they know what the numbers are, what makes sense, what's achievable, I guess. Next slide. And really the last part of it is enforcement. That was a big selling point of the ordinance, is getting this kind of Wild West situation under control. However, we're learning with this in effect, there's some difficulties in enforcing certain things. Airbnb, for one, is not really participating. If they have a unit listed for a one-night stay, and they get a report, well, Airbnb can force them to change it to a 2-night. There's nothing preventing the host from changing it back. If Airbnb is told to remove a listing because it's a violation, the host can simply relist. They can put any license number on there. They can make up a number. They can claim it's exempt. Hotel unit exempt. So there's a number of things like that that the city is playing whack-a-mole, trying to chase these bad actors down, and it's occupying a lot of their time of code enforcement and the treasurer's office. And so some of the recommendations that would help improve that situation is the city has to provide these platforms a list of properties that are legally exempt, legal hotel accommodations. Those are not required to get an STRO license, and that's fine. But Airbnb could use that list to tell the difference. Airbnb could reference a list of actual licenses to say, hey, this address doesn't have a license, you're not on our list, so no dice. And Airbnb is required to follow these rules already. It's written into the ordinance. However, there's not really any consequences. In New York, they actually started issuing fines to Airbnb for listing illegal unlicensed listings, and it's working. A lot of them were taken down. And lastly, the tier 2 that came up just in the project here. Tier 2 allows whole home rentals all year long if the owner or the host is on premises. So in that example, it's a duplex. Now, there's a lot of people that are running a duplex or a triplex or a 6-unit building, and they have a tier 2 on every single unit. Where do they live? They don't live there. They're listed all year round, right? So clearly that's in violation, but for the treasurer's office or code enforcement to go after them, there's really no way to do it. There's no requirement for those tier 2 hosts to report companies. And it's awfully difficult for them to demonstrate where that host is primary residence, especially if they're just kind of a name on it. So these are some things that are already could be done. For some of the other previous things we covered would require, going back through council and most of the commission and all that, which I know is a big massive headache, but I think it's worth getting right. So if you guys are interested in learning more, we can present some of the background behind some of this stuff. If you have some of your own ideas, it sounds like, we'd be happy to hear it and present it the next meeting. This is actually going to come up at the Community Planners Committee next week. I'm not sure what day that's on. Tuesday, so we'll have the full entire presentation there. Numbers that'll put you to sleep. And hopefully the community planners also show some interest, including the inland communities, because it really is kind of a cascading effect.
Well, thank you. I think we have any questions?
I just have a quick. Have you floated some of these recommendations to Jane Campbell's office? I mean, she's been the sponsor of the language.
Yeah, I think she's very hesitant to open it up. So it's really a matter, I think, of getting them momentum that they can't refuse us. That's really the idea. I think that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take multiple council members, not just him. And you know, including Joel Cobb, he's got Pacific Beach now, which is a significant number. So, real quick, I just want to emphasize that, you know, the city is really pushing for development, right? I mean, we know that we're in a housing shortage, and we have all of these housing projects being built. I mean, you guys have a classic example of that all along Pivots. You have all of these properties popping up, but when those properties are being promised as housing, and then 50% of them are getting flipped to short-term rentals, that's not really housing anymore. So we're just asking that you think a little bit in the future of the potential development that's gonna come down on your side, not just Ocean Beach or Peninsula, but also Midway area. I mean, what's gonna protect those areas too? So we're just asking for, you know, oversight into what's coming down the pipe for all of us, and hopefully you guys will support some of these changes that we're recommending.
Well, thank you for pushing this forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one quick
Oh, one more question.
Notice you mentioned nothing about parking, which must be a great impact, as a result of this. Is there anything that you can think of in the parking area?
I know other cities have required minimum parking requirements, and sort of changing the use from a, you know, single family to something where you might have, you know, 4 different groups of people booking the place. There's no parking requirements in the current ordinance. Mission Beach has asked for parking, minimum parking requirements. In fact, the old code on boarders and lodgers, which is kind of a weird term, but that was taken out. This was put in. That actually had parking requirements. So it would be totally reasonable to ask. Yeah.
What did Mission Beach, how they approach that issue?
They had a long list of asks, and it included the 30% that came from the town council. There was a lot in there on enforcement, trash management, things like that. And so that was probably 5 years ago now. Yeah, so it's really just a matter of getting ahead of this. If we don't get ahead of it, it's going to just steamroll right through. You know, and we'll miss that opportunity. So yeah, if parking is a concern, certainly that's.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we are going to turn to our last action item. Javier, you got a letter that about the regional transit connection. Right. So this is item number 4. This is item that was presented in the item that was presented and approved at the long-range planning commission committee. It was consideration and approval of letter to support the advancement of the regional airport transit connector and automated people mover alternative. So I do want to thank Max. He has put the letter together and brought it to the committee. It was approved by the committee. And this is a quick background. In February, the Sandag board reported that the airport connection project is going to be delayed for up to 3 years to do additional studies. The studies include using post-pandemic ridership numbers, and also try to reduce the number of alternatives to try to expedite the environmental review process. Our letter encourages the board to move swiftly and expedite the planning process. And then the letter further urges the board to continue to look at the automated people mover extension of Point Loma, which would really help the traffic congestion around Point Loma and the Midway area and Harbor Drive. So the letter was approved, and well, that's very questions. All right. Well, I mean, it was approved 6-1. So is there a reason one person voted against?
I think it was Paul. He just felt there might not be enough ridership, but
okay. All right. Well, he seems like good idea. So We have a motion to approve the letter.
I have a motion to approve the letter, of support to advance the regional airport transit connector.
Do we have a second? Yeah, I got Sam, second. Motion by Mandy, second by Stan. Any further discussion? Yeah, all those in favor of approving the letter? Harvey, you want to vote? I guess we have 8.
Yes, I do.
9, okay.
I went to that
9,
meeting.
9, very good. 9, okay.
I can vote.
All right. With that, we are gonna go to action item number 3, because I think that, people on the edge of the seat, you step out over here, because
Okay.
you're gonna say, make sure you're on the Zoom. That, I'm gonna turn it over to Margaret to announce the election.
All right, we had a really good election, 9-5 candidates. I mean, everyone was stacked this year. And it was an amazing election. The community turned out. We had 126 people show up to vote. And it was a close race. So I want to thank my committee first and foremost, Eric Law, Andrew, Angela, Corey, and Paul Grimes. He's not here, but he's a community member and he helps out a lot. So thank you, everyone. Our winners, are you guys ready? Our number 1 winner with a 3-year term, Mr. Fred Cosmo, you're back in it. Second place. Sam Long, you're in it for another 3 years, buddy. Third place. I'm going in order of highest to lowest votes. We've got a brand new board member, Mr. Will Howell. Congratulations, you won a 3-year term. So welcome. And then in 4th place, we have another brand new board member, Miss Kelsey Carter, who is not here, but she'll be a brand new board member with a 3-year term. And then this gentleman got on for 3 years, so he may negotiate probably his term, Mr. Don Severance. You get 3 years. You wanted 1, but you're stuck with 3. And then our final 2 board members that gets a 1-year term, but it's gonna be a busy year, so you'll probably be burnt out before the year ends. We've got Miss Jacqueline, who will be back. She's a former board member, so she'll be back to do another year. And then our last board member, brand new board member for a year term is Mr. PJ Luca. So that completes our board for 2024-25. We appreciate everybody who stepped up to the plate to run. You can still get involved by joining a committee, a subcommittee. That's where we do all our work anyways. So please stay involved, and I look forward to serving you guys this year. Thank you. Stay online on our website. Yes.
All right, so with that, we've done all the items except for Andrew's item. So Andrew, do you want to talk about your item? Okay, all right, well, then we're at the end, and is there anything else that anybody else wants to discuss? Yeah, no, that's my pleasure. Yeah, well,
There is one thing I will take up. Okay. Proposing a letter that we sent to the mayor and all the council members. There is a draft of changes to the land development code. And there's some interesting things in there, which I think are worthwhile to do. Because it's been handed out.
It has been.
Okay, no, I think it's been a copy. Sorry. And what this does, there were 3 things in it which I thought were kind of. First thing is, it states that the The proposal adds additional development regulations for the sports arena, for sports arenas and stadiums to align with the goals and policies of climate action. And to put more of a focus on active transportation, including parameters for design elements for building and parking structures. Specifies that sports arenas included a specific plan are exempt from the requirements to obtain a conditional use permit. Now, that's very interesting. Because the conditional use permit, basically, you get that when you want to do something which is out of compliance with the zoning code. And you know that this, the way this is written, it probably applies to Midway Plaza. So what I'm proposing in this letter is that, they didn't clarify what this thing really is. Before proceeding with this amendment to the land development code. So that's the first thing. The second thing has to do with setbacks on accessory dwelling units. And so what item number 25 says, as an accessory dwelling unit with a gross floor area of 800 square feet or less shall be permitted on the premises within existing or proposed dwelling units, regardless of the front yard setback. So basically, you can build these ADUs right up to the street. So I would propose that we propose that. And then another ADU thing. You have an ADU which is over 16 feet in height, that abuts a residential use by allowing the ADU to home to follow the base zone side setback, standard ADU setback, whichever is less. So basically, you have this big ADU which could be built up to 4 feet or less. On that. So I propose that the committee covers that outright. Because they add density. It's another thing the mayor wants to do, add density.
And is the board, does that not change the ordinance? That's that was the approving of the before, but.
Well, I don't know. They're saying this needs to change. So anyway, that's what the proposed letter is.
All right, well, this is on as an information item, so, and I know long range planning is not linked to this yet, so, I mean, these all look like pretty good ideas, and it looks like you've got a very good draft letter. So I think you get this approved and, we'll look at and provide and approve the long range planning, and we'll put it on the agenda for next month.
Absolutely. We talked about it a little bit. We encouraged Andrew to put a letter together for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we did discuss this. There was no letter at that time.
All right, we'll get the letter approved and away we go. All right, any other items you want to discuss?
And did put the STU on to long range planning. If you refer to that.
Yes, we'll return. You get that too, Javier, but you don't have to bring that up next, you can, and whenever long range.
Oh, the ordinance.
The one, the presentation.
Yes, that's definitely. We'll try to coordinate this to make sure we have our timing correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Tracy today. She said that, that Jen is not searching anything for it on short-term vacation rentals, and I think there was a press release or something. So the timing on that is not totally urgent, but we should get out.
I believe so. Okay, great.
Okay. Any other items you want to discuss? All right, so there will be, at the next meeting, right, we'll have new board member, we'll have committee selection, we'll need a new chair, project review, and we'll have to appoint committee chair and chair and vice chair. So, it'll be a busy meeting, but we'll look forward to seeing everybody in April. All right, good. We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna bust it.
Exactly the whole meeting, you know. You got